Jake Morrison stood at the window of the space station and watched the alien ships. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships looked like they were made of crystal and light. They hung in space above Earth, like sleeping giants. "Still can't believe they're real," said Captain Amy Foster. She stood next to Jake, looking out at the ships. Amy had been his friend for 10 years. They had fought space pirates together. They had explored dead planets together. But this was different. This was first contact with aliens. "Real enough," Jake said. "Question is, what do they want?" The answer came 3 hours later. The aliens asked to meet on the space station New Geneva. They said they came in peace. They said they had an important offer for humanity. President Lisa Carter arrived first. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had led Earth through 2 wars and a plague. Nothing scared her much anymore. Dr. Alex Kim came next. He was Earth's best scientist. He knew more about space and aliens than anyone else. He had spent his whole life waiting for this moment. General Ryan Bell was the last to arrive. He was a big man with scars on his hands. He had fought in every major battle of the last 20 years. He trusted aliens about as much as he trusted a snake in his bed. The meeting room was simple. White walls, a long table, and chairs. Jake sat with the other humans and waited. The air felt thick with tension. The alien ship docked with a soft thud. Jake heard footsteps in the hall. Then the door opened. The alien was tall. Taller than any human. Its skin looked like blue crystal. Its eyes were silver and seemed to glow. It moved with grace, like it was floating instead of walking. "I am Ambassador Veltar of the Corvani Collective," the alien said. Its voice came from a small device on its chest. The words sounded strange, but clear. "We greet humanity with respect and friendship." President Carter stood up. "Welcome to our station. I am President Carter. These are my advisors. Please, sit with us." The alien sat down. Its movements were smooth and careful. "We have watched your species for some time. You have achieved much. Space travel, colony worlds, advanced technology. You should be proud." "Thank you," Carter said. "Why have you come to us?" "To offer you protection," Veltar said. The humans looked at each other. Jake raised an eyebrow. "Protection from what?" "The galaxy is dangerous," Veltar continued. "There are threats you cannot imagine. Species that eat entire worlds. Beings of pure energy that drain the life from planets. Diseases that turn stars into weapons. Young species like yours rarely survive without help." Dr. Kim leaned forward. "What kind of help?" "We offer protection, safety, peace. The Corvani Collective has protected hundreds of species. We have kept the galaxy safe for thousands of years. We can do the same for Earth." General Bell crossed his arms. "And what do you want in return?" "Nothing," Veltar said. "We protect because it is right. Because young species deserve to grow and learn without fear." Jake couldn't help himself. He started to chuckle. The sound was quiet at first, then grew louder. Soon he was laughing out loud. Veltar stared at him. The alien's silver eyes seemed confused. "You find humor in our offer?" "Sorry," Jake said, wiping his eyes. "It's just, ... Protect us from what, exactly? And why do you think we need protection?" The question seemed to shock the alien. Veltar was quiet for a long moment. "You, ... question our offer." "Of course we question it," Carter said. "We question everything. It's how we learn." "But ... the dangers," Veltar said. "Tell us about these dangers," Dr. Kim said. "Show us evidence. Let us see what we're supposed to be afraid of." Veltar looked confused. No species has ever asked for evidence before. They all accepted our protection gladly. "We're not other species," General Bell said. "We're human. We like to see things for ourselves." Amy Foster spoke up. "How many species are under your protection?" "Hundreds," Veltar said. "All safe. All peaceful, all grateful. What happens to species that don't want protection? Jake asked. Veltar was quiet again. That, has never happened. Really? Carter said. Never. Not once in thousands of years. Young species always want protection once they see the dangers, Veltar said. They understand they need our help. Jake looked around the table. He could see his friends thinking the same thing he was thinking. Something didn't feel right about this offer. Can we see these threats you're talking about? Dr. Kim asked. Can you show us evidence? You, wish to see the dangers? Veltar asked. Yes, Carter said. If you want us to accept protection, we need to know what we're being protected from. Veltar stood up slowly. Very well, we will show you. But I warn you, the images are disturbing. Many species have been traumatized by what they have seen. We'll take that risk, Jake said. The alien nodded. We will prepare a demonstration. You will see the Devourers. You will see the Void Hunters. You will see the Stellar Plague. After you have seen these things, you will understand why our protection is necessary. When? Carter asked. Tomorrow, we will bring our data to your station. You will see everything. Veltar moved toward the door. Prepare your minds. What you will see has destroyed civilizations. After the alien left, the humans sat in silence for a while. Anyone else think that was weird? Amy asked. Very weird, General Bell said. No species has ever said no, not one. Dr. Kim was typing notes on his tablet. I want to see this evidence. Real evidence, not just scary stories. Agreed, Carter said. But we stay careful. If these threats are real, we need to know about them. If they're not. She didn't finish the sentence. Jake stood up and looked out the window again. The alien ships still hung in space. They looked peaceful enough, but something about this whole situation bothered him. Jake, Carter said. What do you think? I think, Jake said slowly, that we're about to learn something very interesting about our new friends. The next day would bring answers. But Jake had a feeling those answers would lead to even bigger questions. The next morning Veltar returned with 3 other aliens. They carried strange devices that looked like metal flowers. The devices hummed with soft blue light. These are our memory crystals, Veltar explained. They hold the history of the galaxy, the true history, the dangerous history. Jake sat with the other humans around the table. President Carter looked calm, but Jake could see tension in her shoulders. Dr. Kim had his tablet ready to take notes. General Bell watched the aliens like a hawk watching mice. We will show you the Devourers first, Veltar said. He touched one of the devices. The air above the table shimmered, then filled with moving pictures. Jake saw space, black space filled with stars. Then he saw something else. Creatures. They looked like giant worms with too many teeth. The creatures were eating a planet. Actually, eating it, biting off huge chunks of rock and metal and swallowing them whole. The Devourers consume everything, Veltar said. Rock, metal, flesh, energy. They strip planets bare and leave nothing behind. They have destroyed thousands of worlds. The pictures showed cities being eaten, ships being swallowed, people running and screaming as the creatures came down from the sky. How fast do they move? Dr. Kim asked. Veltar looked surprised by the question. Fast enough to catch any ship. But how fast exactly? Kim pressed. What's their top speed? I do not know the exact number, Veltar said. How do they navigate? Jake asked. Do they use sensors? Follow energy signatures? Track life signs? They find their prey, Veltar said. That is all that matters. Amy Foster was studying the images carefully. They seemed to follow patterns. Look at how they attack the cities. Always the power plants first, then the spaceports, then the residential areas. You're right, said Dr. Kelly Brooks. She was a marine biologist who had joined them that morning. They're like space locusts. They follow food sources in a predictable pattern. Locusts can be managed, Brooks continued. You just need to understand their behavior. Veltar stared at her. Managed. These creatures have destroyed entire civilizations. So have locusts on Earth, Brooks said calmly. But we learned how to deal with them. The alien looked confused. He touched another device. The air filled with new pictures. Behold, the Void Hunters, Veltar said. This time Jake saw beings made of pure energy. They looked like lightning shaped into human form. They moved through space without ships, feeding on the energy of living planets. Where they touched, life died, plants withered, animals collapsed. Even the air seemed to grow cold and thin. They drained the life force from entire worlds, Veltar said. Nothing can stop them. They pass through any barrier. They ignore all. Weapons. Dr. Ben Turner, Earth's best physicist, leaned forward. Energy beings following electromagnetic patterns. Interesting, Veltar said. They are death itself. Energy can be redirected, Turner said. It can be contained. It can even be weaponized, if you understand the principles. You speak of containing the uncountable, Veltar said. We contained lightning, Turner replied. We contained nuclear energy. We contained black holes for our power plants. Energy is just energy. The alien was looking more and more disturbed. He activated the third device. The stellar plague, he said. The pictures showed stars going wrong. Suns that burned too hot, too cold, or changed color entirely. Solar flares that reached out like grasping hands to destroy planets. Stars that exploded for no reason, taking their entire solar systems with them. The plague turned stars into weapons, Veltar explained. It spreads from system to system. No one knows how it works. No one knows how to stop it. Dr. Kim was typing rapidly on his tablet. Stellar manipulation suggests quantum-level interference with fusion processes. If we could identify the specific mechanism, ... You cannot, Veltar said. The plague has destroyed countless civilizations. Everything has a cause, Kim said. Find the cause, find the solution. Veltar turned off all the devices. The room fell silent. You have seen the three greatest threats in the galaxy, the alien said. Do you now understand why you need our protection? Jake looked around the table. His friends were thinking, not trembling. They were curious, not terrified. Your evidence is helpful, President Carter said. But we have some questions. Questions? Veltar seemed shocked. Yes, Carter said. First question. You say you've been protecting species for thousands of years. How exactly do you protect them? Veltar straightened up. We will show you our protection. Come. The aliens led the humans to their ship. The ship was even more impressive up close. It looked like a cathedral made of crystal and light. Inside, everything hummed with quiet power. Our shield generators, Veltar said proudly. He showed them machines the size of buildings. They can protect entire star systems. Nothing can penetrate them. Jake studied the machines. They were impressive, but he noticed something. What happens if something gets through? Nothing gets through, Veltar said. But what if something did? Amy pressed. What's your backup plan? There is no backup plan, Veltar said. Nothing gets through our shields. Everything has a breaking point, Dr. Kim said. What's yours? Veltar was quiet. You don't know, do you? General Bell said. You've never tested your limits. We have never needed to, Veltar replied. The aliens showed them more technology. Weapons that could destroy planets. Fleets of robot ships that never needed rest. Sensors that could see across the galaxy. Very impressive, Jake said. But it's all defensive. What do you do when defense isn't enough? Defense is always enough, Veltar said. Is it? Carter asked. What happens to the species you protect? Do they develop their own defenses? They do not need to, Veltar said. We protect them. But what if something happened to you? Dr. Kim asked. What if the Corvani collective was destroyed? What would happen to all those protected species? Veltar looked uncomfortable. That will not happen. But if it did, Kim pressed. It will not, Veltar said firmly. On the way back to the station, the humans were quiet. Finally, Amy spoke up. Anyone else noticed that they never answered our questions? I noticed, Jake said. They know how to build shields, but they don't know how the threats actually work. And they've never had a species say no, Carter added. That's strange. What's stranger, General Bell said, is that they seem afraid of our questions. Dr. Kim was still typing on his tablet. I'm running calculations on everything we saw. The Devourers, the Void Hunters, the Stellar Plague. There are patterns, weaknesses. You think we can fight these things? Jake asked. I think we can do what humans always do, Kim said. Learn, adapt, overcome. Should we tell them that? Amy asked. Carter shook her head. Not yet. Let them show us more. Let them think. We're just curious. Why? Jake asked. Because, Carter said slowly, I'm starting to think there's more to this story than they're telling us. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He stood at his window and looked out at the alien ships. They looked peaceful in the starlight, but something was bothering him. Something about the way Veltar had reacted to their questions. No species had ever said no to protection. Not one, in thousands of years. Jake had a bad feeling about what that might mean. 3 weeks passed. The aliens kept showing humans their technology. They showed their cities, their history, their peaceful protected worlds. But they also kept asking the same question. When would humanity accept protection? President Carter kept giving the same answer. We're still thinking about it. This made Veltar very nervous. Jake could see it in the alien's silver eyes. The Corvani had never dealt with a species that needed time to think. Then something happened that changed everything. The emergency alarm woke Jake at 3 in the morning. Red lights flashed in his quarters. His communicator buzzed with urgent messages. All senior staff to the command center, came the announcement. Priority Alpha situation. Jake ran through the corridors of the space station. He found Amy, Dr. Kim, and General Bell already in the command center. President Carter was on the main screen, calling from Earth. What's the situation? Jake asked. New Olympia is under attack, Amy said. New Olympia was humanity's biggest mining colony. 50,000 people lived and worked there, mining asteroids in the outer system. Attack by what? Jake asked. Dr. Kim pointed at the main display. A small group, but they're heading straight for the colony. Jake's blood went cold. These were the creatures the aliens had shown them. The Planet Eaters, the unstoppable monsters. How long until they reached the colony? Carter asked from the screen. 6 hours, Amy replied. Are the Corvani responding? General Bell asked. They say they're preparing a rescue mission, Carter said. They want us to evacuate the colony. Evacuate 50,000 people in 6 hours, Jake said. That's impossible. That's what I told them, Carter said. They said they would handle it. They said this was exactly why we needed protection. Jake stared at the display. The Devourers looked just like in the alien recordings. Huge worms with too many teeth, flying through space toward the colony. Has anyone told the colonists? He asked. Administrator Sam Wright is in charge out there, Amy said. We sent him all our data on the Devourers. What did he say? Carter asked. Amy smiled grimly. He said, and I quote, "Thanks for the heads up. We'll handle it from here." Handle it. General Bell said. These things eat planets. Wright's no fool, Jake said. He's been running mining operations for 20 years. If he says he can handle it, you think 50,000 miners can fight off the Devourers? Dr. Kim asked. I think 50,000 humans might surprise everyone, Jake replied. The next few hours were tense. The humans watched the Devourers get closer to New Olympia. The Corvani kept insisting on evacuation. Administrator Wright kept refusing. "What's he planning?" Carter asked during one of their calls. "I don't know," Jake admitted. "But Wright doesn't panic. If he's staying, he has a plan." 4 hours after the alert, Wright finally called them directly. He appeared on the main screen, wearing his mining gear and a confident smile. "Just wanted to let you know we're implementing Protocol 7, Wright said. "What's Protocol 7? Amy asked. "Something we've been working on since we saw those alien recordings," Wright said. "Figured it was best to be prepared." "Prepared? For what?" Dr. Kim asked. "For doing what humans do best," Wright replied. "Solving problems." The connection cut out. For the next 2 hours, they heard nothing from New Olympia. The Devourers got closer and closer. The Corvani kept demanding evacuation. Wright and his people stayed silent. Then, suddenly, the colony came back online. "New Olympia to Earth Command," came Wright's voice. "Problem solved." "What?" Jake said. "What do you mean, problem solved?" "The Devourers are gone," Wright said. "Simply, gone," Carter said from Earth. "Gone where?" "Well," Wright said, "most of them are in small pieces floating through the asteroid field. A few are stuck in the smelting furnaces, and one is in our biolab for study." Everyone stared at the screen in shock. "You killed them?" Dr. Kim asked. "Wasn't that hard, once we figured out their patterns," Wright said. Dr. Brooks was right. They're basically space locusts, and we know how to deal with pests. "How?" Amy asked. Wright's smile got wider. "Mining explosives, herding tactics, and good old-fashioned human stubbornness. Turns out these things are only scary if you run from them. Stand your ground and think, and they're just big bugs." "Explain," General Bell demanded. "Simple," Wright said. "They follow predictable patterns. Always hit the biggest energy source first. So we gave them a bigger energy source to follow, led them right into our trap." "What kind of trap?" Jake asked. "Remember those antimatter charges we use for asteroid mining?" Wright said. "Turns out they work real well on planet eaters too." The room was silent for a moment. "You used mining equipment to fight galactic horrors," Carter said slowly. "Pretty much," Wright said. "Though Denny Clark deserves most of the credit. His idea to use the smelting furnaces as a kill zone, and Rachel Stone figured out how to track their movement patterns." "This is incredible," Dr. Kim said. "Can you send us all your data?" "Already done," Wright said. "Maybe it'll help other colonies if this happens again." "Are your people hurt?" Amy asked. 3 broken bones, some cuts and bruises," Wright said. "Nothing serious. We knew what we were dealing with, thanks to your warnings." "Right," Carter said. "You just did something the Corvani said was impossible." "Did I?" Wright said. "Huh, well, maybe they just haven't tried hard enough." When Wright signed off, the command center was quiet for a long time. The Corvani said nothing could fight the Devourers, Amy said finally. "The Corvani were wrong," Jake replied. An hour later, Veltar arrived at the space station. The alien looked confused and upset. "We came to rescue your colony," Veltar said. "But they say they do not need rescue." "That's right," Carter said. "They handled the situation themselves. But the DEVOURERS, double quotes, Veltar said, "are dead." General Bell said simply, "Dead. But that is impossible." "Apparently not," Dr. Kim said. "We have the data to prove it." Veltar was quiet for a moment. "How?" "By studying the problem and finding a solution," Jake said. "By not running away." "But your people had no protection," Veltar said. "Sure they did," Amy said. "They had human ingenuity, mining equipment, and the refusal to give up. That is not protection," Veltar said. "That is, that is. That's humanity," Carter said calmly. Veltar looked around the room, at all the humans. This changes nothing. There are still the Void Hunters. Still the Stellar Plague. Your people were lucky. Were they? Jake asked. Or were they prepared? Luck, Veltar insisted. The next threat will destroy them. Maybe, Carter said. Or maybe they'll find a way to deal with that one too. Veltar left the station quickly after that. Jake watched the alien ships move away from Earth's orbit. Think they're upset? Amy asked. I think they're scared, Jake replied. Of what? Of us, Dr. Kim said. We just proved their galactic horrors can be beaten. That changes everything. Jake nodded. Something told him the Corvani weren't going to like what that meant for their nice, safe, protected galaxy. For 2 weeks after the New Olympia incident, the aliens stayed away. Their ships still hung in space near Earth, but they sent no messages. They made no contact. Then Agent Lisa Park made a discovery that changed everything. Park worked for Earth intelligence. Her job was to monitor alien communications. She was good at her job, very good. She could break codes that other people thought were impossible. I need to see President Carter immediately, Park said when she called the space station. Her voice was tight with tension. What did you find? Jake asked. Not over open channels, Park said. Get everyone to the secure room, now. An hour later, Jake sat with the others in the station's most secure room. The walls blocked all signals. Nothing could get in or out. Park appeared on a heavily encrypted video link from Earth. I've been monitoring Corvani communications since they arrived, Park said. Most of it was impossible to decode. But after New Olympia, they started transmitting a lot more. They got sloppy. What did you find? President Carter asked. Park's face was grim. The truth. The real truth about their protection. She activated a recording. Alien voices filled the room, speaking in their strange language. Subtitles appeared at the bottom of the screen. Emergency session of the Galactic Council. The translation read, The human situation requires immediate discussion. Jake listened, as different alien voices spoke. There were dozens of species represented. All of them sounded worried. The humans have done the impossible, said one voice. They destroyed devourers without our technology. This is dangerous, said another. If other species learn of this, the humans must be controlled, said a third voice. Like all the others. But they refuse our protection, said Veltar's voice. They ask questions. They seek to understand, rather than simply accept. Then they are even more dangerous than we thought, came a new voice. This one sounded ancient and cold. Dangerous species cannot be allowed to spread their influence. Dr. Kim leaned forward. Spread their influence. To who? The recording continued. Jake heard species names he recognized from the alien demonstrations. The Zephyrians, the Collective, the Titans. All the species the Corvani claimed to protect. The Zephyrians have begun asking questions, one voice said. They want to know how the humans defeated the Devourers. The Collective is showing signs of individual thought, said another. They are remembering what they were before our guidance. The Titans speak of ancient strength, said a third. They ask why they need protection if humans do not. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. They're not protecting these species, he said quietly. They're controlling them. The recording played on. The truth became clearer with every word. For 10,000 years, we have maintained galactic peace, said the ancient voice. We have prevented war by ensuring that aggressive species become dependent on our protection. We have stopped the spread of dangerous ideas by making species grateful for our care. But the humans threaten this system, Veltar said. They show others that protection is not necessary, that species can defend themselves. Then the humans must be eliminated, the ancient voice said, before they destroy everything we have built. Elimination may not be necessary, said another voice. Perhaps we can force them to accept protection. Make them see the consequences of refusal. How? Veltar asked. Show them a threat they cannot defeat, the ancient voice replied. Something so terrible that they will beg for our protection, and if they still refuse, then we will do what we have done to other stubborn species. We will remove them from the galaxy. The recording ended. The room was silent. How many species have they removed? Amy asked quietly. I found records of 17, Park said. 17 species that refused protection. All listed as extinct, due to galactic threats. But really eliminated by the Corvani, General Bell said. It gets worse, Park continued. I found communication records with the protected species. None of them remember their original cultures. None of them have armies or weapons. They're completely dependent on Corvani protection. Domesticated, Dr. Kim said. Like pets. Exactly, Park said. And now the Corvani are worried that humanity will inspire these species to remember what they used to be. President Carter was quiet for a long moment. Agent Park, how reliable is this intelligence? Very reliable, Park said. I have multiple sources, multiple recordings. The Corvani have been running a protection racket for 10,000 years. They create dependency and call it peace. What about the threats? Jake asked. The Void Hunters, the Stellar Plague. Are those real? Real, but manageable, Park said. I found records of how other species dealt with them before the Corvani took over. The threats exist, but they're not unstoppable. The Corvani just made. Everyone believed they were. Amy stood up and paced the room, so they offer protection from threats that can be defeated. The protected species become dependent, and anyone who refuses protection gets eliminated. A perfect system, General Bell said grimly. Until now, what do we do? Dr. Kim asked. Carter was quiet for another moment. Then she spoke. We do what humans do best, she said. We share information. We help others learn the truth, and we prepare for war. War? Jake asked. They're going to try to eliminate us, Carter said. Agent Park's intelligence makes that clear. We need to be ready. How do we fight an empire that's controlled the galaxy for 10,000 years? Amy asked. The same way 50,000 miners defeated the Devourers, Carter replied. We think, we adapt. We refuse to give up. And we make sure we're not alone, Dr. Kim added. If we can get this information to the protected species, they might remember what they used to be, Jake finished. Park nodded. I'm already working on that. I've identified communication networks for several protected worlds. We can get them the truth. Do it, Carter ordered. Send them everything. Show them what the Corvani really are. What about our own people? General Bell asked. How do we prepare Earth for what's coming? We tell them the truth too, Carter said. All of it. Humans fight better when they know what they're fighting for. Jake looked around the room at his friends. They all looked determined. Scared, but determined. How long do we have? He asked. Not long, Park said. The Corvani are planning something big. Something they call the final demonstration. They want to show humanity a threat so terrible that we'll accept protection immediately. And if we don't, Amy asked, then they'll declare us a galactic threat, Park said. They'll call in all their protected species to help eliminate us. So we're going to war with the entire galaxy, General Bell said. Not the entire galaxy, Carter corrected. Just the part that's forgotten how to fight for itself. Let's hope we can remind them, Jake said. 2 days later, Earth's communication networks lit up with Agent Park's discoveries. The truth about the Corvani spread to every human colony, every ship, every outpost. The same day, similar messages began reaching protected worlds across the galaxy. Species that had forgotten their warrior heritage began to remember. Beings that had lived in comfortable dependence began to ask uncomfortable questions. And somewhere in space, the Corvani Collective realized their perfect system was falling apart. The war was about to begin. The ultimatum arrived exactly 72 hours after Agent Park's revelations went public. Veltar delivered it personally to the space station New Geneva. Humanity will submit to Corvani protection within 3 days, the alien ambassador said. His silver eyes were cold now, no longer friendly. You will stop spreading lies about our collective. You will accept our guidance. And if we refuse? President Carter asked. She sat calmly at the conference table, but Jake could see the steel in her eyes. Then you will be declared a galactic threat, Veltar replied. You will be eliminated for the safety of all civilized species. Carter smiled. It was not a nice smile. Thank you for clarifying your position. Now let me clarify ours. She stood up and looked directly at the alien. We appreciate your offer, but we'll handle our own problems. Feel free to call if you need help with yours. Veltar stared at her. You refuse our protection, even knowing the consequences. We refuse your control, Carter said. There's a difference. Then you have chosen death, Veltar said. He turned and walked toward the door. The Corvani Collective will remove the human threat from this galaxy. Your species will be remembered as a cautionary tale. After he left, Jake turned to the others. Well, that's that. How long until they attack? Soon, General Bell said. Agent Park's intelligence suggests they have ships from dozens of protected worlds. They'll throw everything at us. Good, Carter said. Everyone stared at her. Good, Amy asked. The more ships they bring, the more species will see what we're really fighting, Carter explained. And the more species will realize they're being used. Dr. Kim was typing on his tablet. I've been analyzing all the data we collected. Their strategy is simple. Overwhelming force, quick victory, minimal questions afterward. So what's our strategy? Jake asked. Carter smiled again. We do what we always do. We adapt. The Corvani attack came 2 days later. Jake watched from the command center of the Earth's Defense Fleet flagship as hundreds of alien ships dropped out of hyperspace. Ships from dozens of different species, all under Corvani command. My God, Amy whispered. There are so many of them. Count them all you want, said Captain Matt Rivera, the fleet's chief engineer. Numbers don't win wars. Smart thinking does. Jake had to agree. The human fleet was small compared to the alien armada. 50 ships against hundreds. But those 50 ships had something the aliens didn't expect. All ships, implement Plan Delta, Jake ordered into his communicator. He was Admiral Morrison now, in charge of Earth's defense. Plan Delta confirmed, came the responses from the other ships. Jake watched as the human fleet scattered. Instead of forming a battle line, the ships spread out through the asteroid belt. They disappeared behind rocks and debris, vanishing from alien sensors. Where are they going? Veltar's voice came over the communication channel. Face us in honorable battle. Honor's got nothing to do with it, Jake replied. This is about survival. The alien fleet moved toward Earth in perfect formation. They were beautiful ships, elegant and powerful. They were also completely unprepared for what happened next. The first alien ship to enter the asteroid field simply disappeared. One moment it was there, the next it was gone in a flash of light. What happened? Demanded Veltar. Mining charges, Jake said helpfully. We've been very busy since your last visit. The second ship lasted a bit longer. It managed to detect the hidden explosive charges and began evasive maneuvers. Then it flew into a trap that Matt Rivera had designed personally. The ship's own momentum carried it into a web of cables and debris that tore it apart. This is not warfare, Veltar protested. This is trickery. This is humanity, Jake replied. But the real surprise came from an unexpected source. As the Corvani fleet struggled with human tactics, other voices began appearing on the communication channels. Zephyrian ships breaking formation. Came one transmission. Collective units requesting new orders. Came another. Titan vessels moving to independent positions, came a third. Jake realized what was happening. The protected species were seeing their protectors struggling against a small human fleet. They were asking questions. All units, maintain formation, Veltar ordered. Follow Corvani commands. Why? Came a new voice. It was young and curious. Why should we follow commands when the humans fight for themselves? Because you need our protection, Veltar said. From what? Asked another voice. The humans seem to protect themselves quite well. Jake opened a channel to the entire alien fleet. This is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. To all non-Corvani ships, you don't have to be here. This is not your fight. Do not listen to him, Veltar ordered. He spreads lies. Do we? Jake asked. Agent Park, please broadcast the intelligence package. Across the galaxy, Lisa Park's discoveries began transmitting the recorded conversations. The evidence of Corvani control. The truth about the protection racket. The alien fleet began to fall apart. I remember, came a voice that sounded ancient and powerful. I remember when my people were warriors, not pets. We were explorers once, said another voice. Before the protection, before the fear, we had our own ships, our own weapons, our own pride, said a third. One by one, the protected species began breaking away from the Corvani fleet. Some turned around and headed home. Others moved to neutral positions, refusing to fight. A few, the ones who remembered the most about their warrior heritage, actually joined the human fleet. This is mutiny, Veltar screamed. You are all under Corvani protection. Not anymore, came a chorus of voices. The battle that followed was brief, and once the Corvani collective, stripped of their protected servants, found themselves facing not just humanity, but a growing alliance of species who had remembered their strength. They were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and completely unprepared for opponents who thought for themselves. The war ended not with the destruction of the Corvani, but with their surrender. Veltar himself came aboard Jake's ship to formally yield. You have destroyed 10,000 years of peace, the alien said bitterly. We've destroyed 10,000 years of slavery, Jake replied. Peace was never your goal. Control was what tech happens now, Veltar asked. Now we all learn to live as equals, Jake said. No protectors, no protected. Just species, working together to solve problems. And if the real threats return, Veltar asked. The Devourers, the Void Hunters, the Stellar Plague. Then we'll deal with them, Jake said simply. Together, the way people should. 5 years later, Jake stood on the observation deck of Unity Station. The new galactic headquarters orbited a neutral star, built by dozens of species working together. The galaxy had changed. The Corvani still existed, but as equals rather than protectors. Many of their former subjects had rediscovered their strength and independence. Some had even become allies and friends. Dr. Kim approached, carrying a data tablet. The latest reports from the frontier, he said. 3 Devourer swarms destroyed by Zephyrian human joint forces. 2 Void Hunter incidents contained using new Titan technology. And the collective has developed a vaccine for the Stellar Plague. Any casualties? Jake asked. Minimal, Kim said. Turns out most galactic threats aren't that threatening when people work together to understand them. Amy Foster joined them at the observation window. She was Admiral Foster now, in charge of the new Galactic Defense Cooperative. The Council is asking for our opinion on the Andromeda expedition, she said. Apparently there are species in that galaxy who might also need to learn about independence. Jake smiled. What did you tell them? I told them we'd be happy to share what we've learned, Amy said. But no protection. No control. Just knowledge, freely given. Think it'll work? Kim asked. It's worked so far, Jake said. He looked out at the stars, where ships from dozens of species traveled freely, protected by their own strength and the friendship of their allies. Besides, He added, "What's the worst that could happen? We might have to teach another galaxy. That being strong is better than being safe." Amy laughed. Typical human response. "Exactly," Jake said, "and I wouldn't have it any other way." In the distance, a new ship was arriving at the station. It flew the flag of a species Jake had never seen before, coming to learn about the strange humans who had refused protection and changed the galaxy. Jake smiled and headed toward the docking bay. There was always another species to meet, another friend to make, another problem to solve. It was, he thought, exactly the kind of universe humans were meant to live in.